So you have 200 or so tax returns to complete.
Yeah.
And when do you aim to complete them by in the year?
September.
September, okay. And so honestly, hand on heart, how
Yeah.
many have you completed at this stage, the 16th of December?
They're all finished.
They're all done?
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. I just always think about you at this time of year because I know how stressful it is for a lot of people going into Christmas, going to the break, knowing they've got to come back to complete a load of tax returns in January. So they don't get to enjoy the break as much. They come back into January, into the thick of the work where they've got all these tax returns to complete and do their work, the normal work that they've got to do, right?
Yeah. And we did that for years. We did that for years, yeah. Been there, so it's fine. Then
they get into February thinking it's going to chill out. It doesn't, because now they've got to catch up on all the work they didn't do that they should have been doing in January.
All the mopping up.
They're chasing themselves, but you don't have that. You're going into each break with all of your team, without having that stress. How does that feel doing that?
It feels great, but as I said, we used to be, I remember years and years ago, we had clients sitting in here processing stuff for us to complete accounts on the 31st in order to complete tax returns. Yeah. So we have been there. But how does it feel now? It's just become the norm now.
So you have 200 or so tax returns to complete.
Yeah.
And when do you aim to complete them by in the year?
September,
okay. And so honestly, hand on heart, how many have you completed at this stage, the 16th of December?
They're all finished.
They're all done?
Yeah. Including mine, yeah.
That's unreal, man. And I just think for the team, for the staff, to be able to genuinely have a break at Christmas and to go off and not to be worrying or stressing about January, that's massive.
But the thing is, we've been doing self-assessment for 20 years. 20 years, or 21 years where we've been doing self-assessment. So it's no surprise, but it's just changing. It's just changing how you approach it.
Yeah.
So lots of people start thinking about tax in, July, August, September, whatever. We start thinking about tax in March.
Right.
So we start prepping everything. And what happens when we send out the e-checklist, the e-checklists are already populated with things like salaries, dividends. So, spoke about the e-checklists. What happens is the client will log into a portal, and on the portal, they've got everything almost completed, maybe some items that we don't know about, capital gain or bank interest, whatever. And they populate that. But when we send it out and then we follow up with a video on how to complete it. So I record a new one every year. So because the first thing is they say, I forgot my login, how do I do this? It doesn't work. They don't get to the end of it and hit the complete button. So we do a video. So we send the checklist out, we follow up with a video, and then within a few weeks, we'll have contact with them while it's still hot. And that will be in end of April, beginning of May.
And when you say contact, what do you actually mean?
Contact, we would send it out. You can see when they start the checklist. If they haven't started the checklist, we'd send out a text straight away. Say, you've got your e-checklist, just check, log in, make sure you're happy with it. And we ask for the information to be completed at the end of May.
Right.
We ask for it for the end of May, which it never is, or not all of it is. So once we get to the end of May, we then start stepping it up and we'll start lifting the phone.
Right.
But if you ask, if I said, right, James, we're doing your tax return, make sure you give us your P60, you turn to me and say, but you need to do my payroll, you've got that.
Yeah.
So that's why we have it populated. Even my 80-year-old mother, she has an e-checklist and she has to complete it before we do the tax return.
Yeah.
Because when it's completed, it means that we don't have to reprocess.
Yeah.
Attachments to there. So,
but you've done as much work as possible. So you've got all the data that you've got, and you've given it to you've done everything you possibly can. You've taken them as far as you can.
Oh, absolutely. Everything we've got within the office that we know about, we are going back to them and say, this is what we've got, and it's in the checklist, and there's a few items that we require from them. So it makes it super easy for them. We also tell them it shouldn't take them any more than 5 minutes to complete, because they think it's a laborious task if they're going to have to jump into and spend an hour or two on it.
Someone, when they knew I was interviewing you, someone asked about a carrot and a stick approach. Do you explain the benefits to them for?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the benefit to someone of completing the tax return early?
So you've got a long time to meet your tax liabilities.
Yeah.
So let's say you've got 100 grand of tax, or 50 grand, or 20 grand, whatever it is of tax to pay. I'm not going to tell you in December because that's going to create a bit of friction between us. I want to tell you what your tax liability is in June so that you can then plan to meet that liability by January.
Yeah, that is it. That one sentence there is the only motivation for me as a customer, as a client, to do it. I don't care about your deadlines. I don't care about I don't care about HMRC's deadlines. But the moment you explain that to me, I think I've got to do it. I need to get this done, you know.
Yeah, James, we want to give you as much time. One client said to me, he says, Euan, I don't want any surprises. Don't give me any surprises. We look after lots of doctors and their tax is quite complicated. So we hit their tax straight away because they have substantial tax liabilities. And, they're the guys that want to know. When they come to us, generally, the reason that they move to us is because they've had tax liabilities in December or January, which have been a surprise to them.
Yeah.
So they've moved away from their existing agents.
Cool. So you're explaining the benefits. Perfect. What about the stick? What happens if you've sent the text, you've made it as simple as possible for them, you've rang them, but someone like me, I'm going to be a complete pain in the backside for you. I'm not going to do it.
Why you're not going to? I'd like to find out why you're not going to do it.
And you would ask them that, or you're asking me that?
I would just I ask both of you. Let's say you're a client and you've not completed it. I would, why have you not completed it?
Yeah.
What can I do to make it easier for you to complete? What do I need to do to get you to complete the checklist?
Yeah, great questions. Great questions.
It's just about lifting the phone.
Yeah.
Emails fall on deaf ears. They really do. They just disappear. If you lift the phone and you can find out what the issue is, because you might find they say, "Oh, I'm waiting on my portfolio coming in" or whatever. So we'll diarise that and then call them back within 10 days or whenever it is and say, "Look, is that now in?" "Oh yeah, it is." So just to move it on. We just keep nudging at them to move it on.
Yeah. And do you have a stick approach if people don't do it?
As in, we're going to charge you extra money?
Yeah.
We did before, but that's really kind of penalising them. And they're penalised. Yes, we're penalising them because they're penalising us. But I think we get a better relationship with our clients by saying to them, "Look, how can we help you complete this?" What we also say is we don't do tax returns in December and January. So if you want us to complete it, it needs to be completed at the end of November.
I love that. So your language there is so strong. So like I said, when people knew I was interviewing you, they've got all these questions about the tech and all this type of stuff. But it's not. It starts to my with your mindset of you deciding we as a firm are not doing tax returns in December. That's the start of all this. Because the moment you commit to that and you decide that is not happening in this firm, now all of a sudden your language is very clear. We don't do tax returns in January, December. So if you want us to complete it, we need this information by this point.
See, if you're in a pub and they say last orders is at 10 o'clock, you're up there, making sure that you get your orders in before 10 o'clock because it's like, I want an extra drink or whatever.
Yeah.
We're paying you tax. So we do not do tax returns.
If the next night you go to the pub though, Euan, and it's 11:30 and say, "Go on, we will serve you." Then the next night when they ring the bell, you think, well, that doesn't mean anything.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So I can order, and that's what most firms do. Because the language won't be strong enough because fundamentally they have not committed to that. So so go back to me as a client then. So let's say I've not completed it. You've helped me, done everything I can, and I've still not completed it. And now we're into December. What are you saying to me about my tax return?
What would I say to you? It's a tough one. We've never really got to that. I would probably, I'd get you into the office and I'd sit down and we'd go through it and I'd explain to you, but I would say, this is it. We will complete it. I wouldn't charge you any extra. I wouldn't want to penalise you, whether you think that's right or wrong. We would complete it, but I would say, James, next year you're going to be the first tax return we complete.
Yeah.
You have to be the first. You're the last guy. You now need to be the first guy. I'm not doing this again with you. I would be. Yeah, just. And if you did it again, then you would move on.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And that comes to, to my mind, what you've got at the centre of this is your business, Euan, your mental well-being.
My business,
your staff's morale.
Yeah.
Like that's what you've prioritized, and your clients in the fact that you want to serve them to the right level, you want to give them the information they need, you want to be able to serve them properly in January. So all these things you're committed to. We're not. This is not how we do it here. This is your business, your game, your business.
We used to have a full-time tax person here, and she would string out. We did 400 tax returns, and she would string it out. And the majority of returns were done November, December, January.
Yeah.
And only one person did it, whereas now, well, we've got 3 people who now do it, who they do the tax returns. So 3 people do it and they just absorb it. And what happens is we start working tax returns in April and we hit a target of how many returns that have to be completed every single week. And we get an update, the text from Terry Ann, she does a text to say percentage in, percentage started, percentage complete, percentage out for client's signature, and then submission. So we know exactly where we are, and that's every single Friday from April onwards.
That's brilliant. So you have your list of how many have to be done.
Yeah.
Where is that seen? Is that on some text somewhere, or is it printed out, or on the wall, or what?
Good old whiteboard in the corner, and we've got the same that we get in the text, and it's up there on the board. And then we discuss it with a meeting every morning and just ask where we are.
Yeah, I think, I love tech, I love software, but there is nothing like having something that is staring at you every single day. You can put whatever screensaver you want on.
Yeah.
That whiteboard is staring at you.
Outside the kitchen, so you walk past it and you go, oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. And do you get a bit of kind of competitive rivalry between staff, and they're seeing someone else kind of getting through theirs, or?
No, there is an element of that. It's like many returns, you'll say, like Kitty would say to Shelby, many returns you completed this week. It's like, 4. No, did 8. Yeah, there's that kind of, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, we know it's everybody takes ownership of the client. So, we split it down and the individuals take ownership of it, and it's up to them to ensure that they're completed. So that there's pressure. When I say pressure on them, there is pressure on them to get done, but they're also keen to get them done out of the way.
Yeah, that's really good. I've got a few friends who have several businesses that are doing very well, and they're always like achieving great things and stuff. And every single time when I say to them, how are you managing that? What's your process? Whiteboards, always whiteboards, because it's something that's there. The act of writing is a process, and the act of ticking something off is a process. Visibility for everyone all the time is important. Whiteboards are the future. Forget all this software, man. Whiteboards are the future, I'm telling you. Yeah. Cool. Right. So we've got some rapid fire questions I want to go through that people have asked. So these are quick fire questions for you, Euan. We've got some from the Go Proposal community. Just on that point, does Go Proposal play a part in it at all? I mean, obviously I want to give you an answer. I want you to give me an answer that says Go Proposal is key to us getting
it right. Totally transform things. No. No, the only thing, it hasn't. It's got no input to tax returns. The only thing I would say is we started running through some of our fees that we charge for clients. We ran it through Go Proposal, and the fees were way too low.
Yeah.
For all the additional work we did for them.
Yeah, but it's enabled you to ensure that you're charging properly for doing the work for them.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have a flat fee for all tax returns, or does it vary? Does it vary based on complexity of a tax return or not? Yeah. So Go Proposal facilitates that.
Oh, absolutely. No, when I run a quote, absolutely. So if it's just P60 div, bank interest, whatever, 260, and then if it's rental income, whatever, that is on Go Proposal. There's a drop down depending how complex that is.
Yeah, and I think if people don't charge enough for it, they then can't allocate enough resource to completing it. So I think that is a key part, isn't it, of solving it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rapid fire questions. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
So how many clients do you have? You've already told me that one. How many staff do you have?
3 doing tax returns.
3 doing tax returns. How many staff do you have altogether?
6.
Cool.
Yeah.
How do they motivate the staff? But I think you've talked about kind of accountability, the checklists and stuff. So I think you've solved that one. Yeah. Someone's asked here is, what's your tax return split between company directors, sole traders, partnerships, property landlord, tax return only? So you probably don't have that in your head. What you did say is tax return only. You don't do.
We don't do. No, we don't do. We've got some legacy, which 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
My mum, my wife, and stuff. But I can tell you, I've got 55% limited companies, which makes it particularly easy and particularly quick to do. 28% partnerships, 10% sole traders, about 7% property income.
Yeah, I think that's key. Is not so. If somebody came to you just wanting a tax return doing, you'd say, would you ask them about what else they've got going on to see if there was a bigger?
You would tell. I speak to everyone. So if they phoned in, say it's just a tax return, I would say to them, do it yourself.
Yeah.
If it's just a tax return.
Someone's upset that I've said tomorrow I'm interviewing one of my favorite accountancy firm owners. They put that's like saying that's like having a favorite child. I'll tell you why you're one of my favorite, Euan, is because you're just kind of under the radar. Like you're not making, you just get on with what you're doing. You just making great progress, quietly chipping away. And, from our conversations, you focused on building a good life for yourself and your family, which is very, very important. And that's your focus. Your business is there to give you the life that you want. you drive a nice car, you have a cinema room. Like that's the important thing though, isn't it? You've just got a great balance, you, whenever I speak to you, of why you do what you do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't. People say, "Do you want more clients?" More? No, not really. I just want it to stay the way it is. To be honest, I'm quite happy with my life. Everything's going okay. I don't want any more stress. I've started taking a half day on a Wednesday, which I thought I'd never ever do.
Yeah.
Which my dad's horrified at. My dad started in 1974 when I was one. He started his business, Alistair Brown, who I worked with before starting here. And he worked. My dad worked Christmas Day sometimes when I was a kid. And I'm thinking, I've got an 11-year-old boy, and I drop him off and I pick him up from school sometimes, and we do stuff. And, as you said, I just want a nice quality of life. See, the last few years, it's made us realise that.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that I want. I try to do more stuff, and I've got lots of microphones and things that I can't get working. But, I'd like to do a bit more stuff, to generate a bit more activity around us. But I'm quite happy with what I'm doing. There's nothing more that I want.
Mate, but that you're just winning like that. That's it, and it's recognizing what it is that you want and what you want from life and what makes life good, and not just wanting more, because just having more clients also brings more problems and more this and more that. Like,
I looked at it. We used to be sitting with about 15, 16 staff before we started automating stuff, and as we automated it, the staff count drops and drops and drops. But then you're relying on a limited amount of people. You've got automation, but it still needs to be hand cranked. And I thought about really pushing it up and getting, a lot more staff and a lot more clients. And when I ran the numbers, I looked at it and thought, that's a lot more hassle.
Yeah.
See, we're kind of sitting, I feel, on the sweet spot right now. We're making enough money to have a nice life. Everything's going well, and I think I don't want any more complications. It's just, it's kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, though. Everyone's different.
Yeah, but it's great that you've identified that. It's same like with Paul at MAP.
Yeah.
Like Paul, they know what the revenue target is that they wanted to get to give them the life that they wanted. Got there. Doesn't need to, he's got no aspirations to push that revenue beyond that.
No, I think it's just, there's a guy, and I wish I could remember his name. There's a guy in Ireland, this was years ago, and he had 50 clients. He called them the rolling 50. So he had 50 clients, the rolling 50, and if you got a new client and one dropped off, and he just kept his rolling 50 because he knew that's what he needed to keep the lifestyle that he had, and just have a nice, and his whole business was set up around this rolling 50. And I thought, that's quite nice. That's quite simple, isn't it?
That's great. That's great, man. Right, let's see if there's any more questions in here. Sometimes I say, what was the turning point for you doing something different? What was the change?
What was the change?
Yeah, because we only make changes, Euan, when something becomes a must. If it's something you should do, you'll never get around to doing it. But something has happened where this has now become a must for you. What was that turning point?
5 years ago, tax individual left, and when she left, we then started really looking at the process and what she did. And she would be asking 80-year-old or 70-year-old individuals about child benefit and things like that. So we kind of looked at it and thought, right, how can we make this better? Let's stop asking clients stupid questions, which we did. And you would get something like, I need your certificate for your £4 of bank interest. So 5 years ago, she left, and we started taking all the tax returns. And when I say in-house, we just started all looking at our own clients and how to improve it. And then once we felt that the process, we'd kind of drawn a line in it as to how we wanted to do it, we then started moving the line back and back and back so that we got them completed quicker. And the quicker we got them completed, what we find now with clients is, before, if it was late with their tax and the tax liability to meet, it was a concern. But see, now that we've given them it early, they want it even earlier. If you give somebody their tax in August, they now want it in July, or they want it earlier and earlier and earlier.
That's great.
So the big change for us was the tax individual leaving, and instead of one person dealing with tax and controlling it, it was then controlled but with all of us, so to speak.
Yeah. That's really interesting that the customer starts to see the benefit. Like you're doing a great job of communicating the benefit of why they should get the tax return done early. Then they do it and they get to experience it. Well, now they want it earlier and earlier. Now they understand the benefits.
Yeah. We set a target once for July, never hit it, obviously. And then we've got a target, a kind of soft target for September. That's what we really need to hit, but we know it's going to move on a bit. You're going to be into October, but between September and November, that's where you really want to have them all completed, and you can.
Yeah. Someone approached you in January and offered to pay you triple. Would you do it?
No. Maybe they say, "Oh, you don't do that many tax returns," so maybe we don't, but at least we've completed them.
Yeah. Yeah. But based on the principles that you've established, if you took on more staff and more clients, you'd still do it if you doubled or tripled. But what you're saying is you don't want to, because you're getting what you want for your life. So you don't need that extra stress of doing it.
Don't need it. I think the thing is with self-assessment as well is what's in the name. You can do it yourself, and we're doing a service for somebody that can do the job themselves. So I think you really need to excel in your service in order for them to part with their money for that process. I'll just do it myself then.
Yeah.
If somebody hands in their questionnaire or their papers, whatever works for you, if they had it in July and you did the tax return in January, they're not going to be happy.
Yes. Yeah.
At all. So,
and then when it comes to next year, why should I, put that extra effort in getting it you early when you didn't complete it then anyway? So
all that happens is we take the stress on. Because you're late, I take the stress on. You're lazy. You can't be bothered handing your stuff in. So then I get stressed. I'm working here late at night. I don't get home to my family or whatever. Can't go to the gym, whatever it is, because you're late. You're not dictating my lifestyle.
Yeah, that's mega. So, Euan, thank you for sharing what you've shared there. And what I've taken from this and what I know about accountants and having worked with them around Go Proposal is that it all starts with your commitment. The moment you decide, this is now a must, this is what is happening, this is how it's going to work in my business, my life, you find a way, you'll make a way. And if you don't make a way, you're either making a way or you're making an excuse. And that's what most firms do. And they'll make an excuse when they haven't committed to this is what is happening, because they're afraid. They're afraid of losing clients. They're afraid of upsetting people. That's what they're really afraid of. What would you say to them about that? How would you help them to overcome that?
Afraid of losing the client?
Yeah.
Afraid of upsetting them?
Yes.
You have to tell them the benefits. You have to say to them, look, James, you handed your tax return in October. We did it in January. You had quite a big liability. We don't want that to happen again. What do we need to do to get you to complete it in May?
Yeah.
And you tell me what do I need to do to complete it in May, or you'll tell me what do you need to do. You say, well, I'll tell you what, let's make an appointment for you in the 1st of May next year, and I'll get you in to go through to get information.
Yeah.
If that's what it works. Or you would say, I don't have the time, or I don't understand, or I can't complete, or I'm waiting on. What can we do to help you with that?
Yeah.
Well, what would you say to me? You do a tax return.
Yeah.
When's your tax return done?
I filled it out yesterday. I filled out the information yesterday.
You filled it. Why did you leave it till 16th of December?
Well, I would say I've had a busy year. There's been quite a lot going on. That's one thing I would say. I guess it's thinking that daunted by what questions is because I know how complex my year has been and kind of various things. How daunting is it going to be to answer the questions? And when I started going through it, I had to fill this in myself, but I had to put, you've got this, you know this.
There
but
you go.
I actually think, no, you what's been your pension contribution this year? You know that. You already know this. But so I guess the frustration in me having to fill that out was thinking, well, I shouldn't have been asked it in the first place.
So you're annoyed?
I guess I was a bit annoyed because I know they knew this, but then also my wife's doing it. My wife's next having to fill it out. And she wouldn't know that they would necessarily know what a pension. So what happens is she gets asked the question. She's now ringing me up saying, James, I've got all these questions. I don't know what my pension contribution is. So then I get it.
So if they had populated everything for you and sent it to you, and you only had 3 things to complete and they highlighted, James, we need 3 things from you, it would make your life easier, and you'd have probably completed it a bit further back.
Yeah. And like one of the questions was like, what's been your interest in your bank? So I'm like, oh, how hard is this going to be? So I went onto my Starling app and it went, here's your report, man. Okay, there you go. Tap that.
There you go. And maybe, you will have clients that will always leave it late, but you really need to pick away at them and push them on.
Yeah. Push them on or move them on. That's the thing, isn't it? It's understand. I think, the big thing for me, Euan, is that this is your business. To my mind, is a game, and this is your game, and it's your rules. And if people want to play at your game in your business, They have to play by your rules. And those rules have been carefully set up to ensure that you're in a profitable business, that you've got, you know, your headspace where it needs to be, you've got time with your family, your staff morale's really high, you're able to offer a high level of service. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And the moment someone wants to break those rules, they're jeopardizing all of those things. And for you as the leader of that business, you have to say, I'm not prepared to, you know, allow that to happen here.
So, you know, back to the tax, what we're saying is we want the clients to see the benefit of getting their tax done early. We have to let them see that benefit. And if they don't see that benefit, then we'll have a conversation with them. And if it's not something that we think is going to work for us moving forward, then they just move on. Or as I say, I just, you know, if I get through it, just let that client go. Just let them go.
Yeah.
Disengage.
Thanks, Euan.
So no real secret sauce. Everybody has to complete an e-checklist. We send videos on how to complete the checklist. We send text reminders out, and we lift the phone. And if you still get an issue, get them in, go and see them, do what you need to do, depending on COVID, do what you need to do and get them to complete that e-checklist or checklist. Getting a bag of papers in is a nightmare. You can't deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
We don't do that with anything else. We don't do that with accounts and anything.
Yeah.
We've been paperless since 2002, fully paperless in this office. You need a tool, right? You need a tool for the job. Somebody handing in a bag of receipts or stuff is not a tool. You need a tool for the job. You need to capture the information. And it's like McDonald's. It has to be the same way. You have to have it in a system so that it can then flow into your system. If you get a bag of receipts and you're going through going, oh, I think that's bank interest. What one's that? It takes ages and it slows you down.
Yeah.
So it needs to come down in a format that works for you.
Yeah.
We changed that with clients. We used to take on any client. They would come in and say, "Oh, we use QuickBooks, or we use this, or we use Sage, or we'll bring everybody in." We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's the same with your tax returns.
Yeah.
Only take on the clients that work for the systems that you've got. And if somebody comes in and says, "I'm not willing to do that," well, you're not a fit for me. You have to let them go.
Yeah. And your McDonald's reference there, it's really important that. And in McDonald's, because I've worked with someone that was very senior there, and she actually helped train us in our systems in Go Proposal. And in McDonald's, when you trained, it's ketchup first and then mustard, right? On the burger. Ketchup first, mustard.
Yeah.
If you put the other way around, you put mustard on first, then ketchup, you get your first warning.
Oh, really?
And you're like, what, like, and 3 of them and you're gone. You're sacked. Okay. And it's like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, who cares? Like, you're shoving it in your mouth.
How do you know it doesn't make a difference?
The flavor doesn't change, etc. And the response is this: yeah, but that's how we do things here.
That's how we do things.
That's the McDonald's way of doing things. It's ketchup first, then mustard, or you're not here anymore. Right. And what she explained to me was, she says, we're able to take 17-year-old lads who can't clean the bedroom.
Yeah.
And we're able to put them into a very efficient production line in a restaurant that, whatever you think of McDonald's, they are producing good, nice tasting burgers in minutes when you pull up in your drive-through, and they're part of that process.
You just said production line, right? Your tax returns are like a production line.
Yeah.
So you start off 6th April, beginning your production line.
Yeah.
You get your checklist out 6th, 7th April.
Yeah.
And then you start the production line of sending the videos, sending a text. We use, whether I don't know if it's right or wrong, but a YouTube video, and I drop it into Text Magic. So when they get it, it's like, here's how to, So you start the production line, and then you follow it through until it falls off the end of production line, which is when it's submitted.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need that production line, and it all kicks off your start date, 6th April.
Yeah.
But
that's the total accounting way of doing things.
Yeah.
And so you got the McDonald's way of doing things, and there's a total accounting way of doing things.
Yeah, but McDonald's pretty successful, pretty good at what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
The Starbucks way. What was the first production line? Ford Motor Company in not the A-Class, what you call it, the Model A?
Yeah.
I think that was the first ever production line that Henry Ford, and that's how they mass produced motor vehicles.
Yes. Was
on the Model A Ford production line.
Yeah.
They transformed everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, and so I love that's the way. So if you had a member of staff that said, yeah, but I want to do things this way. Yeah, but that's not how we do things here. It's the total accounting way of doing things. If you've got a better way, brilliant. Let's learn from it.
Oh, totally. I'm all up for that. If you can make it better, tell me.
Yeah. But if it's not better, then you do it our way. And it's same with clients. Yeah, it's our way. It's a total accounting way of doing things. We've figured it out.
This is what we do. This is
Yes.
what we do. We've done lots of these. We've done it for years, and this is what worked for us. So yeah, it's just do it our way.
Yeah, love it.